Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. Today, we'll be exploring prepositions and their types. This is a fundamental part of understanding how sentences work. We'll cover the different kinds of prepositions and how they function in sentences. So, let's get started and dive into this interesting topic. Let's take a moment to review the main points we've covered so far. We began with the meaning of prepositions, understanding that they are words that show relationships between other words in a sentence. Then, we looked at the definition of prepositions and their role in connecting nouns or pronouns to other parts of the sentence. Next, we explored prepositions of place, which tell us where something is located, and prepositions of movement, which describe motion from one place to another. We also examined prepositions of time, indicating when something happens or happened. To deepen our understanding, we looked at examples of each type, helping us see how they function in real sentences. We also discussed how to identify prepositions based on their use within a sentence, which is key to using them correctly. Throughout this section, the goal was to connect these concepts clearly, so you can see how prepositions serve as essential tools in constructing meaningful and accurate sentences. A preposition, simply put, is a word that shows us the position of one thing in relation to another. It helps us understand where something is located or how it relates to something else. For example, words like on, in, under, or next to are all prepositions. They give us a clear picture of spatial relationships. This is important because, in communication, knowing the exact position or relationship helps us be more precise and clear. Throughout this presentation, understanding prepositions will help improve your overall language skills and make your descriptions much more accurate. So remember, prepositions are all about showing the position or relationship between things. A preposition is a word that is placed before a noun or a pronoun, and its main role is to show the relationship between that noun or pronoun and something else in the sentence. Think of prepositions as the words that help us understand how things are connected or where they are in relation to each other. For example, words like in, on, at, by, and with are all prepositions. They help clarify whether something is inside, on top of, at a location, next to, or accompanied by something else. So, understanding prepositions is key to making our sentences clear and precise, which is a vital part of effective communication. This concept ties into the overall theme of understanding how words function together to create meaning in sentences. Now, let's take a closer look at how prepositions are categorized based on their use in a sentence. First up, we have prepositions of place. These are used to show the location or position of something, like in, on, or under. They help us describe where things are in relation to each other. Next, we have prepositions of time. These prepositions tell us about when something happens, such as at, before, or during. They help us specify the timing of an event or action. And then there are prepositions of movement. These are used to indicate movement from one place to another, like to, through, or across. They help us describe the direction or path of an action. Understanding these categories is key because it helps us use prepositions correctly within different contexts, making our communication clearer and more precise. This classification connects to the overall theme of mastering sentence structure, because choosing the right preposition enhances both the clarity and the effectiveness of our language. Now let's look at this example. The book is kept under the table. Here, the preposition under shows the position of the book relative to the table. It tells us that the book is below the table's surface. Moving on to example 2. The airplane is flying above the clouds. In this case, above indicates that the airplane is higher than the clouds, emphasizing its position in the sky. These examples help us understand how prepositions of place, like under and above, describe where something is located in relation to something else. They are essential because they give us a clear picture of spatial relationships, which is key for effective communication. So, when you're describing locations, think about what the object is relative to another and choose the appropriate preposition accordingly. This not only makes your descriptions more precise, but also easier for others to visualize. Today, we're going to talk about prepositions of place. These are the words that help us show where something is located. They are essential because they give us clear and precise information about the position of objects or people in a space. For example, words like in, on, at, under, between, and next to are all prepositions of place. They help us paint a picture of the scene in our mind or give directions clearly. Understanding how to use these prepositions correctly is key to effective communication, especially when describing locations or giving instructions. So, as we go through this, keep in mind that prepositions of place are fundamental tools for showing where things are in relation to each other. Let's take a closer look at some common prepositions of place. These words help us describe where something is in relation to something else. For example, above indicates that one thing is higher than another, while up can suggest movement or position towards a higher point. After and before are often used to talk about time, but they can also relate to positioning in a sequence. Moving on is used when something is resting on a surface, and against shows contact with a surface or support. By can mean near or beside, and behind indicates something at the back of another object. Below points to a position lower than something else, and along suggests movement or position following a line or surface. Further, near is a simple way to show proximity, while down indicates movement towards a lower position. In refers to being inside something, and at points to a specific point or location. Across suggests movement from one side to the other, while inside emphasizes being within a boundary. Between is used when talking about two objects or points, and over can mean above and covering or crossing. These prepositions are essential because they help us specify exactly where things are, making our descriptions clear and precise. Throughout the presentation, you'll see how these small words make a big difference in effective communication. Now let's look at some examples for prepositions of time. In the first example, I go for a walk in the morning. This shows that my walking activity happens during the morning, which is a specific part of the day. In the second example, we want to eat ice cream at night. Here, the action takes place during the night, highlighting a different time of day. Prepositions of time like in, at, and on help us specify when things happen. Remember, in is used for longer periods like months, mornings, or years. At is for precise times, such as at 3 p.m. or at night. And on is used for specific days or dates, like on Monday or on July 4th. These examples are simple, but they really illustrate how prepositions of time work in everyday sentences. Understanding them is key to expressing when actions take place clearly and accurately. Now, let's talk about prepositions of time. These are really useful because they help us link a noun or pronoun with a specific time value. Essentially, they serve as indicators, showing us exactly when an event took place. For example, words like at, on, and in help pinpoint the timing of actions or events, making our communication clearer and more precise. Understanding how these prepositions function is key to expressing time accurately in both speaking and writing. So, as we go forward, keep in mind how these small words can make a big difference in conveying the right time context. Let's take a closer look at some common prepositions of time. About, before, for, by, around, in, ago, at, past, since, to, on, after, until, between, and during. These words are essential because they help us specify when something happens or the time frame involved. For example, about is used when we're giving an approximate time, like saying, I'll arrive about 3 p.m. Before indicates something happening earlier than a certain point. Moving on, for is often used to describe the duration of an event, like I stayed there for 2 hours. By shows a deadline, meaning something needs to be done before or at a certain time. Around is similar to about, used for approximate times, such as around noon. In refers to a general period, like in the morning or in December. Ago points to a time before now, such as 3 days ago. At specifies a specific time, at 5 o'clock. Past also indicates a time after a certain hour, past midnight. Since is used to refer to a point in the past that continues to the present. since 2010. To shows a deadline like until Friday. On specifies days and dates, such as on Monday. After refers to a time following an event, after the meeting. Until indicates the end point of an action, until tomorrow. Between is used for a range, between 2 and 4 p.m. And finally, during describes a period when something happens, during the summer. Understanding these prepositions helps us communicate timing more precisely, which is vital for clear and effective communication. This shop is open every day of the week, from Monday to Sunday. It's a great example of how prepositions of place help us describe locations clearly. For instance, if I say, "The cat is sitting on the bench," I'm using the preposition on to show where the cat is. Similarly, in our sentence, we use a preposition to specify the shop's opening days. This section is a quick recap, reminding us how important these small words are for clarity and precision in communication. They connect our ideas smoothly and help our audience visualize exactly what we're talking about. Remember, mastering prepositions is key to making your descriptions more vivid and understandable, which ties back to the overall goal of effective communication. This shop is open from Monday to Sunday. When we talk about time in English, we often use prepositions like from and to specify the period during which something happens. In this case, from Monday to Sunday clearly shows the start and end of the shop's opening days. Prepositions of time help us give precise information about when things occur. They are essential because they make our communication clearer and more specific. For example, saying, "From Monday to Sunday," tells us that the shop is open every day of the week, without any gaps. Remember, using prepositions of time correctly is a key part of mastering English grammar, especially when describing schedules or routines. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding how to use prepositions properly helps us communicate more effectively about time and events. Now let's look at some examples of prepositions of movement. First, we have "he jumped into the river." Notice how the preposition into shows the direction of movement, indicating that he moved from outside to inside the river. It's a great way to specify where someone or something is going. Next, we see "children are going to school." Here, to is used to show the destination of their movement. It tells us where the children are headed. These examples help us understand how prepositions of movement like into and to are essential for describing actions involving movement from one place to another. They add clarity and detail to our sentences, making our descriptions more precise. Remember, choosing the right preposition depends on the direction and the destination involved in the movement. This is a key part of expressing movement clearly in English. A preposition of movement is used to show movement to or from a place. In this slide, we're focusing on how these prepositions help us express direction and motion clearly. For example, words like to, from, into, and out of are common prepositions of movement. They tell us where someone or something is going or coming from. This is especially important in language because it helps us create vivid, precise descriptions of actions involving movement. Remember, understanding these prepositions enhances our ability to communicate movement accurately, which ties into the overall theme of mastering clear and effective language. Now let's take a look at some common prepositions of movement. These words help us describe the direction or movement of objects and people in space, starting with down, which indicates movement from a higher position to a lower one. Then we have past, meaning moving beyond something or someone. Next is into, showing movement from outside to the inside of a space. Behind refers to moving at the back of something. Moving up suggests going from lower to higher. Onto indicates movement toward a surface. Through describes moving within a space, passing from one side to the other. Off is used when something is leaving a surface or position. Over can mean moving across or above something. On refers to staying on a surface or position. Across indicates movement from one side to the other. At points to a specific location, often used with movement towards that point. By suggests proximity or near to something. For can imply movement in the direction of a goal or purpose. After means following behind or subsequent to something. And finally, Towards indicates movement in the direction of a specific point or object. These prepositions are essential for describing movement clearly and accurately in both writing and speech. All right, let's look at how prepositions are categorized based on their use in a sentence. We have three main categories: prepositions of movement, prepositions of time, and prepositions of place. Prepositions of movement describe the direction or movement from one place to another, like to, into, or through. These help us understand how something moves in space. Prepositions of time, on the other hand, tell us when something happens. Think of words like at, on, or during. They help specify the timing of an event. Then we have prepositions of place, which indicate where something is located. Examples include in, under, or beside. These help us pinpoint the position of objects or people. It's important to remember that these categories are based on how prepositions are used within a sentence, which helps us communicate more clearly and accurately. Understanding these distinctions is key to mastering prepositions and improving our overall language skills. Now, for the home assignment, I want to emphasize the importance of applying what we've discussed today. This is a great opportunity to deepen your understanding by actively engaging with the material. I encourage you to focus on the key concepts we've covered, such as the core principles of effective communication and how they can be adapted to different contexts. Remember, the goal is to connect these ideas to real-world situations, so think about how you can implement these strategies in your own work or daily interactions. This assignment is not just about completing a task. It's about reinforcing your learning and making these concepts a natural part of your approach. So, take your time, reflect on what we've discussed, and consider how you can bring these insights into practice.